If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The following podcast may contain discussions supported by science that may be considered dangerous to some listeners and conspiracy theorists. Discretion is advised.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by Lucky Bastard Distillers, Saskatchewan's premier distillery, and by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, brewed in the heart of Regina. Welcome to the 3 Down Greencast. You are listening to the internet's only College World Series podcast. I'm Joel Gasson with John Fraser, as usual, as we do have another Rider victory to talk about, as they squeaked one out against the Calgary Stampeders in what turned out to be an interesting football game. We'll put it that way. It had some highly entertaining moments and periods of nothingness, if that makes any sense.
No, it's the perfect game for like watching while I was doing dishes. It was like, okay, nothing's really happening. Oh, something's going on there. It was the perfect PVR game is what it is. And before you continue, Joel, as I get to interject, let's all take a brief moment here for our 4 listeners to congratulate you, now that you and I are back on the mics together, on the birth of your daughter. Just huge moment. I know Greg filled in last week. We were really pumped up for you, but my first time to publicly say congratulations to you, my friend. I am so happy for you. I'm so happy for Jenny, who proved she's way tougher than either of us could ever hope to be.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, you can thank me and you can applaud me, but all the applause go to her.
100%.
Without going into too much detail, she went through hell and back during the delivery of this baby, and so did all the staff. All of the staff, Regina General Hospital, everyone in, delivery and labor, in mama baby ward, in special nursery and NICU, because we spend time in all of them. Just the most incredible human beings that deserve far more support than they're getting, without getting too political at this moment in time.
No, absolutely. We will not get like that, but I did have to ask, how is the veggie falafel? I know me and Greg discussed the weird food options at the Robbins.
The veggie falafel I got from 13th Avenue Coffee House. I got that delivered in that night.
Oh, okay.
That was something else. That was after numerous days of Robbins, and there's some like freshy sort of knockoff kind of thing in there. Right. Which apparently is an actual chain. There's another one that exists in Regina somewhere that I didn't know it did. And a couple others in Toronto, apparently. But anyway. Interesting. Yeah.
So the thing is that, like, I know, as soon as you mentioned there was a Robbins there, I'm like, wow, where's Robbins exist anymore? I remember from my experience with the 3 kids was getting nothing but chili dogs. So I'm sure Jenny was quite appreciative of you getting some actual veggies in you compared to what I did to the poor bathrooms at the Royal University Hospital.
Yeah, well, I mean, you destroying toilets is normal.
It's on brand now. It is on brand.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was good. But yeah, I hadn't been to a Robins in I don't even know how long. There are still a few in Regina. I don't know what it's like up there in Saskatoon, and I honestly don't know what the selection's like there. But at least the ones at the hospital, especially the one in the food court, has some stuff you would not expect. Like I had like a Jamaican beef patty. I had vegetable samosas a couple at one time. They were actually really good. There's some nice spice to them.
Good samosa.
And there were some like steam buns I wanted to try, but they were only in the food court. One of the time I was going to buy them was that the one at the front door was only the only thing left in the building was in the 24-hour front door, and they didn't have those. So I was like, I didn't get to try those, but.
No, apparently there is a Robins in the Confederation Mall here in Saskatoon, and a Robins Donuts / Swadesh Donuts on Central Avenue. So I definitely cannot think. I do think I sold an Xbox in the parking lot of that place once, but didn't actually go in.
Probably the most legal transaction to go down in that parking lot.
You know what? Where it's located, you ain't wrong, Gas. You ain't wrong.
Anyway, Riders are now 2-1 on the season and could be 3-0, and frankly had a pretty good game against Winnipeg as well the week before. So not really a whole lot of concern, I would say, at this point in Riderville. But we will talk about what I guess we were calling the curious case of head coach Craig Dickenson.
I like it. It's catchy.
Yeah, we'll talk about Nick Marshall a little bit as well, and the overall grade of the team, as our boy Justin Dunk was on the Green Zone today on Tuesday, giving his thoughts on where the team is at so far in terms of grade. But it's sort of what has become, I guess, will become an annual tradition on this podcast.
Yes.
The College World Series just wrapped up on Monday evening. Sanity prevailed. The LSU Tigers absolutely swamped the Florida Gators in Game 3 after getting absolutely swamped in Game 2 and having won a squeaker in Game 1 the other day as well. Sanity prevailed because, as you may or may not know, at the College World Series every year, there's a bar called Rocco's, and they do the Jell-O Shot Challenge, where all the teams, you buy shots and you say which team you are there with, and the running tally goes throughout the course of the week in terms of how many shots are sold. And now for the third straight year, the record number of shots purchased has fallen, and the team that has done that has gone on to win the World Series. It was Mississippi State a couple years ago, Ole Miss last year, and then LSU this year. The interesting fun fact is not only did LSU set the record this year, they absolutely obliterated. I believe they tripled it or something stupid. I don't remember what Ole Miss's record was last year. It was in the 20s, 20,000 to be precise, somewhere
That's right,
in there.
20,000 Jell-O shots over the weekend. That is the College
it was
World
over the course of the entire week and a bit. From game one of the tournament all the way through this thing goes.
Yes,
right?
I keep forgetting because it's always in the same place every year. The College World Series is a week-long thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a tournament. So then this year, some guy that owns a chicken chain that I had never heard of before, apparently quite popular in the South, but it didn't make Shutdown Fullcast lore, so it can't actually be that good, I guess.
It's not Cookout.
No. The guy who founded that bought 6,000 shots in one day, which is also a record for this event.
Incredible.
In terms of a single purchase. At the end of the day, LSU finished with 68,888 shots, which is just insane. But also leaves me wondering, where was that guy that dropped 6,000 worth? Couldn't he have bought up at least another 112 to get to 69? That feels like a missed opportunity, right?
Huge missed opportunity. Right? You got that much money, you make the record 6,900, and away we go. I also love that all of our talking about fast food and American stuff and me bringing up Cookout. I am now once again, as I often do on this podcast, looking at the Cookout menu and debating opening one here.
Absolutely.
Yes, cheese bites.
Yeah.
Cheese bites.
LSU, big winners of the College World Series, but it got us thinking. This CFL needs something along this line because
100%.
In the college baseball community, which is not large by college sports standards, out of if you think of the big four sports on this continent, baseball, football, hockey, and basketball, college baseball in terms of its college equivalent to the pro equivalent is probably at the bottom of the scale.
Right.
Even I would say in certain areas, especially college hockey is definitely has its spots where it's quite big.
Yes.
But this event every year kind of catches on a little bit, and the Jello Shot board definitely, I think, gets people talking about the event, which is fun, and it's just sort of a fun little thing that happens at the event every year. And
you get guys that wouldn't normally talk about it. Like you mentioned, one of our favorite podcasts is Shutdown Fullcast, and one of our favorite accounts that, again, like the biggest feather in my cap of my life is that the Sickos Committee follows me on social media. You get guys like that talking about it, which draws your eyes to it a little bit. So you're right. The CFL needs to come up with something.
Yeah, and I don't think the league itself can necessarily do this itself, but someone needs to sort of figure out the equivalent here. I know it's not quite as simple as, because obviously the Grey Cup isn't in the same city every year, and there isn't a fun bar in every city that is the same bar in every city.
Right.
So the question is, how do you make it work? I don't know. I'm just an idea guy. I don't close.
Right. But see me. You want some closing skills? You want to see some wiggle room? Wiggle. This does remind me, though, last time I was at the Grey Cup in Vancouver, and as I've gotten older, and you and I have discussed this, that the parties that you pay the big entry fee and have to drink a bunch of shitty Molson product and you don't really have a choice are pretty meh, right, for the large part. But I remember Grey Cup 2011. There was this Elephant and Castle right on Burrard Street, down the street from where Travis and I were staying. And he made it the Blue and Gold House. And it was like this top secret club you found out through whispers talking to other fans. And if you were a Winnipeg fan, there was no cover. Every other team was $5. The Riders were $10. And I just think of some bars just doing some offshoot of that, close to downtown, doing something fun. Like, it was actually really cool. There was blue and gold decorations there. I know the Bombers cheer team came by selling their calendars. There was nothing but Winnipeg music, so there was a lot of My Distant Cousin, Burton Cummings, a lot of The Watchmen. It was a really cool vibe, and I haven't seen or heard anything like that around any kind of Grey Cup. So this is a glorious opportunity to take this ball and run with it at the next Grey Cup in Hamilton, and subsequently, the next one in Saskatchewan, and just be like, hey, you know what? We're going to be the Jello Shot bar, and we're going to start it like 2 weeks before everybody gets there and get the Riders get a big head start. I mean, it's kind of like when you go down to a Rider game, you stop at Aylesbury, and it's this tiny little hole in the wall, but next thing you know, you're there destroying that toilet because you've been holding in a poop the entire way from Saskatoon.
Yeah, so I mean, this is basically like you take the idea of CFL fans fight cancer, but instead of doing, raising money for good, it's a fun sort of event that is more debaucherous throughout the entire thing.
I thought you were going to say raising money for evil.
No. I mean, unless we're doing it at Minhas, then maybe. But...
Oh, no! I swear, that guy must have a burner account in the Let's Talk CFL groups, because I don't even like the Minhas Brewery, but their ads always come up, and like...
I think I finally hit I don't want to see this enough on all my social accounts whenever they showed up that it stopped. It took a while, and they have so many different offshoots, like every single brand, every single style, everything has to have its own account for some reason, so like block.
But for me, as an enjoyer of the terrible, I like seeing like the terrible ideas they come up with for booze, and the fact that, like, obviously the guy that runs it, who used to post himself in his Rider jersey all the time, got a cease and desist from the Riders because now his jersey is covered in Minhas logos, and like his like quintessential boomer posting about the Riders wins, like that is my new favorite. Like, great game, Riders! Nick Marshall, you're the best thing that's ever happened to the football team. Wow, interception by number 3, Nick Marshall. Because, people talk like that when they talk about sports.
All the time. Isn't that our podcast? Isn't that how we do it?
I mean, we never say, like, number 7, Trevor Harris. It's one of the few things we don't
Maybe
do.
Maybe we should start doing that. But then I have to remember what number players are, and that's hard enough sometimes.
That's actually very good.
Like, it changes over the years, right? Like, I remember... when I was 16 or something, or I was a teenager when I was a kid, I could name like just about every single player in the NHL and what number they wore.
Yes.
Now in any sport, even the ones I watch closely, I couldn't tell you who's what anymore.
I still see number 7 on the Riders and go, I thought we got rid of Fajardo.
I thought you were going to say, I thought Weston Dressler retired.
No, because then I see Harris make an accurate pass and go, oh yeah, we did get rid of Fajardo.
That's the league's leading passer right now, Trevor Harris. Yeah. If the stats are to be believed.
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
It's not a failure. It's not a failure. It's not a failure, apparently.
No, but the fact that my broadcast partner for the Rush games, Cody Jansen, can find second-tier summer lacrosse stats for the Rush's presumptive starting goalie, and I can't find who the sack leader is in the CFL until literally today? Oh, I just hate it, though. I can't, now, they're publishing the reports. Here, let's see. Did they finally grant me access to CFL Connect? Nope, still waiting. That's 4 weeks. Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll have to send a message to Lucas on that one.
Get Dunk to send it, because I'm sure he saw 3 Down Nation and went, there's no way this guy's associated with those guys. He's not classy enough.
Yeah, so the Riders are in sort of, I would say, almost a class of their own right now in the league. Not at the top, kind of just nicely snug in the middle where we kind of expected them to be. So we're going to talk about that win over the Calgary Stampeders. And to sort of look at where they're at overall right now. But as usual, John, for the Pile of Bones Brewing Company this week, I heard the snap earlier. What is in the glass this week?
If I told you I bought 4 tall boys of locally made beer for $9, what would you think I was drinking, Joel Gasson?
Am I pretending you didn't send me a picture of it earlier?
Yes, you are.
Then that brewery we were talking about earlier.
No, flukiest thing ever. I go to refill my vodka supplies at the Co-op Liquor Store on 8th Street. Walk into the beer cooler because I'm like, well, I'm podcasting tonight. That's as good of an excuse as any to go ahead and buy some delicious tasting local beer. And holy shit, Blackbridge Wheat Burst, $9, $8.99. Mm-hmm. Plus taxes and deposit fees for 4 cans. So me enjoying the taste of Wheat Burst and being a cheap Scotsman, it's what we went with. It's real good. I mean, it's a great summer beer. It's hoppy, it's unfiltered, it's everything you want. I also saw the New England IPA was on sale as well, but I can't think the last time I paid less than $12 for good crap. And it's this was even, this was packaged. God, everything's kind of blending together. I think I want to say May, so it's not like it's stale.
Nope.
It's not like this is some stuff they found in the back that's been sitting there. It's crisp, it's hoppy, it's delicious. So if you like big hop blasts in your face, go right ahead. And of course, I had to stock up while I was there. Unlucky Bastard vodka.
Mm-hmm. For me, I haven't been to a liquor store in a couple weeks, but I had some. I bought a 12-pack last time. I bought some beer of Rebellion Beer. The beer that tastes like beer because it's been on sale all month, and I figured, it's a good beer just to have around the house just in case I need some beer in the fridge.
It's true, or it's the guest beer because having the baby. Now that you're at home with baby, you're going to start getting the texts about people coming over to meet the baby. And then it's always awkward because people don't come to meet the baby at a normal social hangout time. They'll come at 2 p.m, and you're like, do I offer you a beer? I mean, I get it. You have a $2,000 coffee machine, so you have that option. But it's do I start day drinking now? How long are you going to stay here? Are we going to have 3 beers as you meet my baby? What is going on? So you're about to walk yourself into that. So beer's a good one to keep on hand for that.
Sure enough. The Riders are now 2-1 on the season thanks to their 29-26 win over the Calgary Stampeders over the weekend. In a game that can be described as boring chaos, I suppose. As we have to acknowledge the moments of chaos and hilarity that happened in that game as to, sort of the moments as to why we love football.
Yes.
Because as much as we all enjoy watching, well-executed football, be it offensive or defensive, nothing still quite hits us like just some really dumb shit happening.
That's what we're here for. That's probably why you're listening to us. You're not listening to us for accurate football takes.
No, God,
you're listening to us because we are here for the embracing the dumb.
Yeah, especially in the first quarter of that game because there was periods of nothingness followed by just pure hilarity. Of course, started with a really good fumble Ruski that we hadn't seen in a while in the league. CFL used to be, I think, kind of notorious for a bunch of fumble Ruskis.
Yes.
So, of course, the Riders fumbled it. Then the Stamps, instead of just trying to jump on it, tried to scoop it, and they actually jumped it forward when the Riders then jumped on it for a first down, which is just outstanding. We had the whole... So they went on to score a touchdown on that drive, and then I believe it was a touchdown anyway. They scored either way. And then on the ensuing kickoff, the Stamps fumbled it, and Henderson punched it out, but landed out of bounds. Though, if you look at the replay, it did definitely look like his foot was in bounds first before he punched it out. But anyway, that was a whole thing that just kind of added to the chaos. We had what we called in the 3-down chat, the kick pick, where Larry Dean got the pick off the ball that was kicked in the air. And yeah, there was just...
And of course, whoever was running the 3-down social that night, they've linked them right into your article on 3-Down Nation.
Yeah, no, I put those in myself into the article.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought like somebody else does that.
No. I know how to do that. So usually I do that if there's something I want to add in there for sure.
Well,
then there was the interception from Milligan, and then he had the dribble along the way.
Yeah, that's tough. But I like some of the football. Yeah. Or football. And of course, cue the Benny Hill theme music.
Yeah. There's a variety of people that do that throughout the week. Some days it's John, some days it's JC. I think Josh does it sometimes as well too. I think the ones that week had JC vibes written on them, I think. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they did not have terrible pandemic hat vibes. They had more JC vibes.
And they weren't wrestling enough to be Josh. So.
Yeah. Josh would have worked in a, by God, that's Cristiano Ronaldo's music.
When you need to work quickly and confidently, you need Grammarly. It's a trusted AI writing partner that helps you get work done faster with better writing. And it works where you work, across 500,000 apps and websites. 96% of users agree. Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. That's Grammarly.com/podcast. Grammarly. Easier said, done.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Yeah, so there was a lot of fun in that game. There were definitely some moments where not a lot happened, but in the end it turned out to be a relatively entertaining football game. Double overtime, you can never really complain about that. And if you're a Rider fan, of course, you can't complain about the fact that they won, though it probably shouldn't have gone to overtime, if we're being completely honest here.
If Nick Marshall does his job.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Marshall was being himself. We'll start here, I guess.
Yes, okay.
Because
we will start here that
there's been some conversation about Nick Marshall, as there always is, because this should surprise no one at this point. Nick Marshall is very boom and bust. We've talked about it on this program. And I used to think of it used to kind of annoy me, but now I kind of embrace it, where I'm like, you know what? You understand that a few times a year, this guy's going to try to undercut a ball, and he's going to get beat bad. Yep. It happens all the time, but you know at the other end, he's going to make up for it. We just don't generally always see it in the same game.
Or within the same about 15 minutes, of course, getting burned on the last touchdown there by Calgary, and then coming up with a highlight reel play that makes some other employees of state media say that he might be the greatest football player of all time. It's a good pick. Love coming up big. I love that he redeems himself, and it seems like you said, Joel, we know what he is now. Yep. He has the talent. He's going to get burned, but he's the kind of guy that you're going to leave out there. You're not going to staple his ass to the bench when he gets burned because you're right. There's just as good of a chance of Nick Marshall getting shown up than there is Nick Marshall coming down with a game-winning interception in clutch time.
Yeah, like I've said before, and I think many have said before, there is rarely a dull moment when the ball is thrown towards Nick Marshall.
I want that's true. I want to say it was it Greg? I think it was Greg or one of the other boys from Piffles that pointed out that fucking Nick Marshall is such a universal statement during a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was the perfect example of that. Couple plays, fucking Nick Marshall. Couple plays, fucking Nick Marshall.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why he's still here. Is you like the aggression. I think if you had an entire secondary of him, that would be a little problematic. But if you have one guy that you know that's how he is, you can kind of work around that a little bit. And you live to understand that there are times where, yes, the guy's going to get beat, but you know that he has the capability and the ability to bring it back. And it was interesting post-game, and Brendan McGuire wrote the piece on 3 Down about how, Nick Marshall, his quarterback past, maybe helps him in this spot because he knows the routes the receivers are generally using, and he knows how to track the football.
Right. I still do miss the day that he used to come under center for the short yardage stuff. Because that just seemed like it had like chaotic play written all over it. Like some sort of pass coming out of nowhere.
Well, now they could put him under center and keep Shea Patterson on the field and really keep them guessing.
Okay,
no one's really done anything with that, have they? With the 2 quarterbacks allowed on the field thing?
Not that I can recall. I mean, let's face it, they had a quarterback last year whose knee was basically hope and duct tape.
No, but I mean across the league. There may have been like a play someone did once, but I don't remember much of anyone.
Winnipeg's done it with Prukop and Collaros.
Okay.
In limited action. Like
if you throw Collaros out to Zed in that spot, I'm not too worried about him.
No, but there's been a time or two where Prukop's been out at Zed.
Okay, yeah.
Like it's like he comes in for the short yardage, then Collaros comes in, and they just leave him out there just to keep guys a little off balance, right? So I have seen that a couple times. I haven't seen a lot of sets with it, and we all know that Chris Jones has probably done it because why not?
I mean, he doesn't know who his quarterback is, so I mean.
Well, he did. He released him this week for being sad.
Well, we know it's not your boy, that's for sure. So
it is not my boy. Oh, can we take a minute to discuss how the Fraser curse this year is unbelievably powerful?
It is, yeah. It's been cranked up to 11.
Like I picked BC to fall in the West Division. What have they done? They just beat the shit out of my favorite team, who's been to the last 3 Grey Cup games, winning 2 of them, and have only given up 21 points through 3 games, playing some decent competition. Meanwhile, Taylor Cornelius, my boy, who I said, and even Arash Madani got in on this, saying, here's a sneaky MOP pick, is probably going to be selling insurance in his hometown by next week. Like, holy shit, the Fraser curse.
Yeah.
It is real this year.
Yeah. And in a, like, you actually legitimately believe these kind of way, not I'm saying this. You're not doing the reverse thing. Like, those were legit thoughts. Like,
and legit researched thoughts. I think maybe that's the problem, is when I actually put my brain to it and, like, look at things, if I just talk out of my ass like I do for 95% of the time, it doesn't seem to affect quite as badly. But when I'm like, okay, season preview, I need to prepare. I need to come up with some hot takes that hopefully aren't as bad as Johnny Manziel. But, yeah. Oh, boy. I'm basically Thanos right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people wondering about what Craig Dickinson's been thinking about lately.
Oh, boy. You and I specifically.
Yeah. This is sort of like, I guess you can say, the main topic of this episode, as we're finally 25 minutes in.
That's on brand.
Absolutely. Craig Dickenson is, of course, the head coach of the Riders, and there's been a lot of conversation in the last few days about some of the decisions he's made, and this has sort of been an ongoing thing throughout his tenure as the team's head coach, which makes it very perplexing. Not in a I don't know what he wants to do kind of way. Like, I generally follow along with what Craig is thinking. I don't necessarily always agree with it, but I follow along generally with what he's thinking in his decisions. I just don't know if I like it or not. And, like, I legitimately mean that. Like, I'm not saying that to be like, like, I honestly, there are times where his decisions, I'm like, yes, This is incredible. This is what teams should be doing. This is where the sport of football should be going. And there's other times where I'm just like, goodness gracious.
Well, and the two prime examples in that game, and you and I texted each other almost instantly when he went for it on 3rd and 1 for the win.
Yes, 100%.
And then doubles down post game to say, even if that's 3rd and 2, I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and take the struggles of Brett Lowther aside.
Yeah.
You get a first down there. You trust your offense to get you 1 yard, you win that football game.
Yep. Like 120% of the time, I am going for that no matter where I am on the field. Just because of it, there's $1:30 left in the game. Pick up the first down, it's over. We can question the play call, and even then, it's kind of a long one. It wasn't a straight 1 yard. It was a little bit longer than a yard. Yeah. Even then, you still generally should pick that up. But I mean, you think about the drive Jamal Morrow had on there. There's a couple of times he was stopped in the backfield and powered his way through to pick up a first down.
Which he's done now in both their wins.
So the guy was clearly not going to be stopped on that drive. Why he didn't get the football in that play, I don't know. Coaches overthink things sometimes. It always happens.
Yeah.
But the process, as I've talked about ad nauseum on this program, probably to everyone's dismay, is process over results. They didn't get the outcome they wanted on that, but that was 100% the time to go for it to win the football game. No questions asked.
Yeah, well, especially in the CFL where you get the yard. Mm-hmm. In theory, you should be able to just get some good blocks and fall over and get it. And like you said, it was a little bit more than a yard. But how about Jamal Morrow? You brought it up. You and I were both big fans of that. Maybe not so big fans of the play call. I thought just basically run what you've ran the past couple plays with Jamal Morrow. Maybe put him in a single back formation instead of going out of the gun. You just get him a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. But Jamal Morrow now in both the wins. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have a huge game in the season opener against Edmonton, but I don't know if he's just in crazy shape or the fact that they're only running him 20-ish times a game. But man, he's like a baseball closer right now.
Mm-hmm. But they definitely have that going for sure.
Oh man, in the 2 wins with the lead, you're giving that ball to Jamal Morrow. He's looking like Billy Koch in the old 90s Blue Jays, just unhittable. He gets out there, he closes the game, he does his job, and I'd be interested to see if this is a fitness thing or maybe it's still early in the season, but he almost looks like that change of pace back when he's out there at the end of a game because he looks so fresh to just close these things out. I was really impressed with Jamal Morrow, especially at the end of that game.
Yeah, and I know there's always a lot of discussion in football, especially modern football, about still having to establish the run. I mean, Jamal Morrow had a great game overall, but in the CFL, it's more so when you can run the football versus actually running the football. We saw that in week 1, and we saw that a little bit at the end of that game too. The decision I did have a little bit of a problem with from Craig Dickenson, and it wasn't as catastrophic as if he kicked a field goal there in the final offensive play, in my opinion, was when they scored the touchdown to go up 10. And he went for 2. Okay, I understand the process. He says he has the chart in that scenario to go for 2, and I understand that makes it a 2-touchdown game. Essentially, I mean, there's some other weird math you can get there, but generally speaking, it's a 2-touchdown game. Right. And of course, if they get it, it's all forgiven, everything's fine. I just didn't think the risk of not getting it was not worth giving up an 11-point lead. Yes, because 11 is generally you're looking at either a 2-touchdown or a 3-possession game at that point anyway, as well as a 12. And as we saw, and we obviously the missed PAT from Brett Lowther, though that was made up for with what I believe looked like an intentional rouge later in the game. And the missed field goal, all that aside, that 1 point probably would have kept them from going to overtime.
Well, certainly. And I get it. You have your charts. These guys have done the analytics. These guys are typically far more well-versed at football than we are.
He said, and in fairness to Craig, he said the chart and his gut lined up. So he didn't just take the chart ad nauseum and look at it and say, okay, up 10 this spot, go 2. He actually looked at the chart. He said, it says to do this. He thought about it and said, I agree, and then went.
Well, I like having confidence in your team, but again, that's a 3-score game typically, and whether that other score's a rouge, you're forcing somebody to come down the field and do things that are difficult. Getting their own 2-point conversion if they wanted to.
Against a team, too, that is not very good at scoring fast.
Yeah, exactly. Like Calgary's very much, slog it out, grind it out, long drives, and that's how they score, right? So that is the Jekyll and Hyde a little bit of Craig Dickenson. I'm with you. I didn't like that call either. I think you go up 11 and you make them do something, right? You're either making them take a 2-point conversion if they score a touchdown. You're making them trying to kick just a piss missile through the end zone. You're making them try to score 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. So, and not everybody's got a Sergio Castillo that can just get angry that he missed something and just kick it into the end zone and get the point back anyways, right? So
yeah, and Rene Paredes is a great kicker, but distance has not always generally been his thing. So.
No, he's accurate. He's accurate as all get out, but yeah, he is not. He's not the big-legged distance guy. But again, speaking of kicking, more Brett Lowther struggles.
Yeah,
a little worrisome.
Little worrisome. Kickers just have weird years sometimes, so. I mean, we'll see. It's not the biggest question facing this team right now, but definitely something to keep an eye on.
Well, no, too. And I think when your kicker struggles, and I mean, Craig Dickenson will never say it, but does that have that has to have creeped into his thinking?
That was initially my thought as to why you went for 2. Yeah,
right. Your guy just missed one, and you're a little worried that he's a little shaken up. I mean, again, as a guy that watches every Winnipeg Blue Bombers game, I can tell you there was a lot of times last year where Mike O'Shea would go for 2 when Leggio just didn't have it. So that starts to creep in a little bit, and maybe that was it. And kudos to Craig for not maybe throwing his kicker under the bus. But yeah, it is funny how he'll go from doing something like the whole smoke and mirrors with Trevor Harris against Winnipeg that just makes me roll my eyes at him to going for it on 3rd and 1 for the win and then doubling down on that decision. So, yeah, he's definitely like...
He's one of a kind with sort of his approach to those kinds of moments. Like, I think overall he's a pretty good head coach. In terms of his game management, I'm still, however many years into this we are, how many seasons at least into this we are, of him being the head coach of this team. 19, 21, 22, 23. I guess this is his 4th year now. And if you're on your 4th year and it's still kind of hard to get a read on what you think of a guy in a certain aspect, it's kind of weird. And that's basically where I sit with it, because I know some of his quirks, and I know there's always questions asked, when he doesn't take a timeout late in the first half sometimes. Like, well, rightly or wrongly, the guy just does not like to take timeouts or do challenges in the first half at all, if unless absolutely necessary, because he wants to hang on to both timeouts for the second half, which I can respect. I don't always necessarily agree, but it's his approach, and what you can always say is, generally speaking, rightly or wrongly, whether you agree or not, you can kind of see his thought process. I just don't know if I like his thought process, and I don't know if I hate it either. Like, it's so one or the other, it seems, with almost every decision.
Yeah, he's so polarizing on some of the things he does. Like again, these 2 examples are a perfect example of the Craig Dickenson era, where go for it 3rd and 1, double down, let's go. This is what more football coaches should be doing, and just like never taking a knee, never conceding the safety, never doing that. You should never do it. The numbers say you should never do it. The numbers say you should always go for it in 3rd and 1, and then not scoring to make it an 11-point game and doing other assorted weird things with his timeouts and stuff. It's just it's a roller coaster, but he is who we thought he was, and he kind of sticks to his guns. And it seems like Greg and I talked about this last week. Seems like he's gotten some media training to maybe not throw his players under the bus, but I don't know. I like it because it gives us something to talk about.
Absolutely.
And generally, it's entertaining, and his decisions are rarely the conservative ones. And I think
I can't fault him for that. No,
and football in the CFL, especially right now, needs more coaches to think like that, because oh boy, some of these games have been a slog this year.
Yeah, and the other thing I will add to the 3rd and 1, no matter what anyone else may think of it, the players will love the fact that he believed in them and rolled the dice and went for it to win the game in that moment.
Yeah. Again, neither of us can say that we played the game at anything past a flag football level, but you talk to any player about a moment like that, they're going to say that is exactly what they want. They want the faith in them, offense, defense, everybody wants that faith in them from their head coach to go out there and perform.
Absolutely. So the bigger question now is, 3 games into the season, the Riders are on a bye week. Appearing on the Green Zone here in Saskatchewan on CJME and CKOM, as Justin Dunk often does, as sort of their CFL insider. I guess he was asked about, what grade would he give the team at this point?
Yes.
And he said like a B plus, and yeah, I think that's about fair. I think I would lean more towards a B, because I think, not through any fault of their own, just because of just the pure amount of upheaval there's been on that side of the ball, and continued upheaval with some injuries now along the offensive line, and the receiver core a little bit. The offense is still very much a work in progress. Mm-hmm. You see flashes of it. You see sort of where it's coming together, but there's still a ways to go. I think they'll be okay there, generally speaking. The defense has been pretty good. They haven't quite matched that week 1, but I think a lot of that may be Edmonton in retrospect.
Right.
But overall, I think, at this point of the year, a B is kind of a solid grade, and I don't know if there's a lot of Bs in the CFL right now. Like, you have Winnipeg and BC at the top. You have Edmonton, Hamilton, Ottawa clearly in the bottom. Montreal, I'm still not there yet. We've seen Jason Maas and Cody Fajardo have a good start before. We'll see where they get.
Especially against crappy teams.
Yeah, we'll see what I'll believe in them when. I'm not saying they can't get there, but we'll see where that goes. And Calgary story, they're too banged up on offense right now, and I don't think they have the depth to begin with. I'm not sure. Maybe in like a C level right now, just because we'll give their defense the credit to keep them in games. So. Are the Riders kind of clearly in a pack by themselves right now? Maybe.
They're kind of the only question mark.
Yeah.
I think we now know who BC is.
Yeah.
We knew who Winnipeg was going to be. You and I were higher on Saskatchewan than a lot of people.
True. Yep.
Right? So the Gasson bump somehow cancels out the Fraser curse when used directly or simultaneously, right? So I think if you would have told me that Saskatchewan would be 2-1 after the first 3 games, I'd call that a success. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I guess a success, a little bit better than expected. That puts them in a B. Obviously, an A would be 3-0, including a win over Winnipeg. But I think a lot of people expected worse. Mm-hmm. And maybe a lot of people, me included, expected Edmonton to be a lot better. But I still think Calgary's a challenge. I still think they have some good pieces there.
They'll fight, and they'll be tough to the end just because of who they are.
Right.
I just don't think they'll ultimately have the pieces to get over the top in there.
Well, no, and realistically, they played Winnipeg really well, and then you get a punt return touchdown that kind of turns things around on that one. So
they're at the point where their defense is still very good. They'll hang around in football games. But if they don't figure out anything on offense over the course of 18 games, we've seen it, that's just going to wear down.
I would put them and Toronto in almost the same category.
I think Toronto's good.
I think Toronto is good. I do agree, and I think Saskatchewan's good. I just don't know how good for either team, right? BC and Winnipeg are good. Montreal beat somebody that's not Ottawa or Hamilton. I think they've got a big test against Winnipeg here. If they show well against Winnipeg, I'll believe a little bit more in Montreal. But to me, Toronto, same thing. Like, Toronto's played Edmonton. They've played Hamilton. That's looking not like a great team. I think those are the 2 teams right now that to me in the CFL they're good, but how good are you? And that's going to be really proven over the next couple of weeks.
When you need to work quickly and confidently, you need Grammarly. It's a trusted AI writing partner that helps you get work done faster with better writing. And it works where you work, across 500,000 apps and websites. 96% of users agree. Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. That's Grammarly.com/podcast. Grammarly. Easier said, done.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications through LifeMD? LifeMD is now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.